The Pittsburgh Steelers can never just win a game. It always has to be dramatic at the very end. I guess it could be worse. Pittsburgh comes out and beats the Tennessee Titans 19-13. An absolute just must-win game at this point for any kind of playoff hopes they have left, which really aren't many at this point. Basically tying the Lions to kind of almost the end of it. And then lose to the Chargers, the Bengals, and you get the point. We end up at this point where Pittsburgh comes down, they beat Tennessee at Heinz Field. It's a great feeling to see them actually go out there and win the game. Tennessee had a really solid afternoon except for turnovers. One fumble by Ryan Tannehill on a bad snap. I think Fitzpatrick recovered a fumble in the first half. And I think Joe Hayden got, I don't know if it's called a fumble or an interception. Let's look right now. It's called an interception by Joe Schobert. That's what I'm thinking about. Where Taco Charlton batted the ball up. So overall, defense played okay. I mean, they held Tennessee to 13 points. As crazy as it sounds, it didn't feel like the defense played really well, though, because every time Tennessee was in like a third and long situation or a first and long, they always almost end up converting those and still getting first downs anyways. And Deontay Foreman, 22 carries, 109 yards, so it wasn't like the run game or run defense was doing anything that spectacular. Tennessee as a whole ran for over 200 yards in the game. And, I mean, it's Pittsburgh's run defense at this point. It's what it's been without to it, and although the entire season, it's not very good. And the linebacking play certainly has not helped that at all. It feels like Minka Fitzpatrick has to come up and make all the tackles because you get past Cameron Hayward, and there's just no one at the linebacker level willing to make a play. Which is why I think Minka Fitzpatrick control Edmonds have made so many tackles, having to come down and make plays on running backs this year. Overall, like I said, an exciting game for a lot of the wrong reasons. Pittsburgh's offense didn't do much in the first half, only 3 points. Of course, the opening game was a punt return by Tennessee, I believe, initially by Chester Rogers that really broke things open for Tennessee. Pittsburgh's bend up but don't break defense showed up quite a bit, holding Tennessee to field goals. Our offense, our push but don't score offense showed up again and did not make many touchdowns. I think only 1 touchdown the entire game for Ben Roethlisberger on a QB sneak, which that whole possession at the 1 yard line was really worrisome. I thought, for instance, we were not going to get that touchdown just because of how bad we have been on the offensive line creating a push. That first sneak by Roethlisberger was pretty sad, to be honest, but we get that touchdown anyways. Everything else comes as field goals because it's Pittsburgh's offense at this point. They just can't really move the ball very much. Really got lucky with the turnovers, frankly, because, well, I shouldn't say lucky. We got skilled turnovers by our defensive backs most of the time or by our defenders that put us in position to score, and the offense then did not move the ball much at all, and we had to settle for field goals. So defense really creating points there for Pittsburgh. Chris Boswell was fantastic as usual. He missed, I think, a 56-yarder going to halftime, but it was short. It was on target. It was just short, and you can't expect him to make all the stuff, but knocked in the air 4 attempts where he was really expected to make those tries, and of course made the extra point, which helped Pittsburgh win. And huge shout out to Joe Hayden, by the way. Joe Hayden coming back, missed a ton of time this year. I think he's going to be a free agent this offseason, who's going to probably leave Pittsburgh after this year. But comes back and makes the defensive stand of the game. Pittsburgh had Tennessee in a 4th down play late in the 4th quarter. Tennessee's going down to try to score, try to potentially win the game, make it 2019. Pittsburgh doesn't have any times left. Tennessee had converted on like a 4th one earlier in the game, or earlier in that drive, where Pittsburgh had hit the running back in the backfield, and he had still managed to fall forward and get the first down. But Joe Hayden, Ryan Tannehill drops back, throws the pass. Joe Hayden just absolutely plants the receiver, just stops him dead in his tracks. It's a 1.5 yards or half a yard short of the first down mark. It's clear as day, by the way, in the replays, although the referees almost gave Tennessee the first down by some inconceivable means. I actually think they did give him the first down, and they went back, and they re-spotted the ball just like a centimeter off of the first down marker, which, again, made no sense if you watched the replays because it was nowhere near close to the first down marker. I think the first down marker was at the 9.5 yard line, and the receiver never got past the 10. So it didn't make any sense to me how that spot happened, but it doesn't matter because the game ended anyways. Pittsburgh got the right spot eventually. And overall, like I said, the offense was pretty horrible today. It really was. No kind of sustained drives for the most part. Ben 16 for 25 for 448 yards, excuse me. Not a very good game, although he did have some solid passes. He always has like the one or two really good passes a game at this point. As long as he didn't turn the ball over today, which he didn't, that's what really matters. Najee Harris, 12 carries for 18 yards. Once again, why do you draft a running back in the first round when the offensive line is so terrible? I never know. I might never know until the day I die. But Najee Harris, like I said, not very impactful today just because the offensive line, once again, is absolutely terrible at run blocking. The receivers, no one really stood out as making a huge impact. Deontay Johnson had a long of 16. James Washington had a nice catch. Everyone had basically one catch of over 10 yards, and that was kind of their big play of the game, and nothing else really made an impact beyond that. Chase Claypool didn't really do much of anything in particular. Freiermuth, of course, got hurt. Pat Freiermuth, 4 receptions for 37 yards, but it looks like he got concussed, and hopefully he won't keep him out long term, but he did look almost like he was unconscious for a moment on the field. Did hang on to that catch, by the way, when he got hit, but he got hit pretty hard high, and then his head kind of smashed into the turf with a little bit of whiplash, so hopefully he's okay. But yeah, overall, I mean, like I said, the offense not doing much. Chris Boswell and the defense are really what pulled through for us today. Boswell, of course, being automatic from anything basically under 55 yards. And the defense, Minkah Fitzpatrick, like I said, I think he came up with the fumble recovery early in the game. Joe Hayden making a stop late in the game. Joe Schobert getting the interception on a tip Taco Charlton play. And, of course, Cameron Hayward comes in and gets half a sack and 6 tackles. TJ Watt gets a sack and a half. He, somewhat concerningly, he comes up with maybe like you call it a rib injury or a lower abdomen injury potentially. On the last drive of the game, it looked like he got fallen on by he got hit pretty hard by a running back, fell down, and then the offensive lineman fell on top of him. Looked like he was almost having trouble breathing on the sideline for a minute, but he came back in the game, so I guess that means it's maybe not that bad. I don't know. We're going to have to find out. This might be one of the things where you go back in the game immediately because your team needs you, but you find out later on that you might have to sit a week out or something like that. It's just unfortunate. TJ Watt really has not been fully healthy at any point this season. And he's still leading the NFL in sacks, but that's beyond the point. I thought Chris Wormley's been doing pretty well, actually. I think Chris Wormley has really, over the past couple of weeks, been making plays that Cameron Hayward is making at the start of the year. Hayward's still making plays, don't get me wrong. I feel like Wormley is making more of those Cameron Hayward plays at this point as well. So I'm actually very pleased with his contributions right now. He had a sack today. And like I said, he's been really good as of late the past couple of weeks on making plays. Because Hayward's drawing double teams. That opens up quite a few opportunities for Wormley. He's really capitalizing. So I'm glad to see he's doing well. Isaiah Lattimore, too, actually had some really good plays today, I thought. Flowing down the line, making some plays in the running game. I did all right. I would still like to see more production out of Alex Highsmith, if being honest, on the defensive side of the ball. Just because Highsmith is a very good player, we all know this, but he really is not taking that extremely good next. I don't know how to describe it. He's not taking the full next step we were expecting him to make this year, and maybe it's just because maybe I was expecting a little too much from him potentially. He does have 3 sacks this year. He's been good, but he's not been as good as I would have thought he was going to be based on how well he produced in a limited sample size last year. And that's kind of how I look at it right now. Situations like this where Alex Highsmith's been okay but not elite, and TJ Watt's battling with injuries, this is why you want someone like Melvin Ingram on your team. Unfortunately, Melvin Ingram was not happy with his role in Pittsburgh. If he just stuck around for a few more weeks, he would have gotten more snaps because TJ Watt would have gotten hurt then, would have opened opportunities for Ingram. But no. He knew what he signed on for. He didn't want it anyways, though, once the season started. Now he's in Kansas City. But that's neither here nor there. Pittsburgh gets a win. And like I said, it was absolutely a desperately needed win at this point because of the past couple weeks. It's just been brutal. Pittsburgh really, like I said, I've said this before, they really should have won a couple of these games. They should have beaten the Lions. The team came out absolutely flat. And this is why some people, including myself, have questioned this team's heart and this team's dedication to winning and stuff like that, largely because of things like the first half against the Vikings when they were lifeless. The entire game against Detroit. I mean, things like this just don't make sense. You don't see these things from Pittsburgh Steelers teams. You don't see these things from Mike Tomlin teams usually, or from teams that have a veteran quarterback as old as Ben Roethlisberger. You don't expect this. So definitely disappointing at large parts of the season. tie against Detroit, the loss against the Chargers. And the Chargers were one of the easier to beat teams left on their schedule. I would say even easier to beat than Cincinnati, just because Cincinnati is an in-conference team that really has had Pittsburgh's number since Joe Burrow arrived. Or you could just say over the past 2 years, because Joe Burrow didn't play in one of their matchups last year. So yeah, Chargers lost, Bengals lost. I expected to lose to the Bengals. I thought we could beat the Chargers. You win over Baltimore, that's fantastic. You lose to the Vikings. Let me put it this way, not winning one game between Detroit, Chargers, Vikings is absolutely awful. And it's probably why we're not going to make the playoffs, because you should have at least won one of those games. You probably should have won 2 of them. And instead you walk away with no wins in that situation. Beating Tennessee was an absolute must-have, because now you get Kansas City next week. Then it's Cleveland. Cleveland's going to be a lot healthier by that time. You know, as of now, they're kind of reeling a little bit from injuries, but they're going to be much healthier 2 weeks down the stretch. And then it's Baltimore again. Baltimore will have Lamar Jackson back by that time, probably. You know, they're not healthy. They're not going to be healthy because they've been so banged up this year. That game might actually be more winnable than any of the next 2 matchups against Cleveland and Kansas City. But it's still not going to be an easy game because it's Baltimore. It's John Harbaugh. It's Lamar Jackson. We know the history. We know how this goes. But still, Pittsburgh 7-6-1 at this point. Honestly, not awful compared to what I thought was going to happen going into the season. I think my final prediction was 8-9 or 9-8 for Pittsburgh, I think. 1 of the 2. So really, we're kind of on par with where I expected them to be. Although I really think we could have secured an 8 or 9 win season by now if things had just been a little better. But oh well, we can only live with what we have right now. Pittsburgh 7-6-1. That tie currently putting them a little bit ahead of. Well, actually, I think it's putting them a little bit behind maybe Cincinnati and Cleveland. But we'll see, because those guys have to play this week. We'll see if either one of them lose. Pittsburgh's out of the basement in the AFC North. They'll be above them. So hopefully we get some help in here. Cleveland will lose. Cincinnati will lose. Pittsburgh will jump back up to second in the division, if we're lucky. But that's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll talk to you all tomorrow.